Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I thought it was high time I did another books that made me video. As you can see from the title, it's gonna be books that made me hungry. So I've got some shortbread with me. I have a cup of coffee with me because it's morning and guys, I'm tired, okay? And we're gonna have a wee chat about books that left me feeling just a little bit hungry. So, first book. Now there's a selection. I've got a wee selection beside me, and they're not all fantasy. There's a wee bit of a mix here. So the first book we're going to chat about is a book that didn't actually. So it's kind of cheating. It didn't necessarily make me hungry, but my gosh, did it have me craving a cup of tea. And that is Queenies Teapot by Caroline Steele. I apologise, it's a very shiny cover. Queenies Teapot is, I think this is self-published. But this is basically, it's book one of a trilogy. I've only read book one so far, but I do plan to continue this. But this is basically the story of an alternative universe, Britain, where it's still modern day. It's still Britain as we know it, but instead of our government officials, like our MPs and our Prime Minister, instead of being elected, they're chosen at random by ballot, and it could literally be anybody in the country. And Queenie Mason is basically your typical council housing estate, lovely little old lady who knits and drinks tea. She has minimal education, bless her soul. She is, honestly, she's the loveliest. I absolutely adore Queenie. And she has somehow chosen to essentially be Prime Minister. Civil servants are not elected, so there is the help of people who've been there all the time. And it's just, yeah, craziness kind of ensues, but it's just such a charming book. But throughout it, Queen makes a point, because they move into Buckingham Palace, which has been repurposed for officials. It's, oh my gosh, guys, I seriously recommend this book. It was an absolute joy to read. And yeah, but throughout it, Cree makes a point of everywhere she goes, she takes her own teapot with her, because it's a teapot she's had for years. Basically, like, Queenie is an older lady, you know, she has grown-up children and I think grandchildren at this point. So this is a teapot she's had since she first got married, I think. And, you know, it still has, like, it's never been properly washed out. It's still got the lovely tea tannins and all that gorgeous flavour attached to it. And yeah, I drank so many cups of tea when I was reading this book that it was just such a joy to read, and I'm probably describing it terribly, but there you go. I am going to apologise if the video today is a little bit more cutty and less in one shot than it normally is, and if I'm particularly snottery and sniffly. I had a migraine a couple of days ago, and apparently that's a COVID symptom now. So all my LFTs are coming out negative, but I have been instructed that pretty much for the next week to take an LFT daily, which means my nose hates me right now. So I do apologise. But yeah, swiftly moving on. The next one is Tolkien. Not specifically The Hobbit, but I'm going to say The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. These are books which, I mean, I don't really need to tell you anything about these. Even fantasy readers, even non-fantasy readers know about The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. I freaking love the movies, I love the books, we love everything about them. But you can tell that they were written during a time of rationing. Tolkien was hungry when he wrote these books. He was dreaming of food. And now whenever I return to these books, I dream of food and I get hungry. That is all. I mean, the amount of times those hobbits, I mean, particularly in Fellowship of the Ring, when it's just the hobbits travelling on, like at the start, when it's just the hobbits travelling themselves. That just, the amount of times they stop for food. I mean, I am a hobbit at heart, and I relate so hard that they plan their journey based, like at points they were planning their journey based on where they were going to stop for food and when they were going to stop for food, and I can relate so hard to that. But yeah, I last time I listened to the Fellowship of the Ring was not that long ago, just a few months ago, I think. I was in work and I was working at the weekend. I was in the lab on my own, so I just popped my audiobook on, and oh my god, I was counting down the minutes till things were read and I could go and have lunch because I was so hungry reading this book. Just, oh, Tolkien, I'm so happy you got fed in the end. But yeah, the next one, I'll go on this one because there's two that I've got two that involve a bakery, so let's go with the first one. So the first one is probably one of my favourite vampire books, and that is Sunshine by Robin McKinley. Now, not only do I love this because it doesn't go down your typical two leads romantic end. You know? I know it's a wee bit of a spoiler and I do massively apologise for it. But one of my absolute favourite thing about this is that our lead and the main vampire, they don't end up romantically entangled together. They end the book agreeing that we just make good friends. And I loved that. But yeah, our main character, Sunshine, works in a bakery, a family-run bakery. And McKinley knows how to describe food. She knows how to describe baked goods. I wanted cinnamon buns so much by the end of this book. And all throughout this book. So this is another one. Have a sweet beside you. Next... What do I want to tell you about next? Next, let's go with a little something different. And there's a book called A Little Something Different. Now, food is not a massive focus in this book, but it does kind of play a point. This is a YA contemporary romance, and it is told from about, 14 different POVs. None of those are your main characters, and it's amazing. I read this in one day. I think I bought this in New York in the Strand, and then I was visiting friends in New Jersey, and we spent one afternoon just lounging about in the park. It was sunny, it was glorious, and I read this in one sitting. You get the POVs from, it's basically two college students, and you get POVs from their friends, from their lecturers, from their parents, from their siblings, from a squirrel, from a park bench they both sit on. It's amazing. It is so cute and adorable. But one of the POVs comes from the Chinese food delivery guy. And they both order Chinese a few times, to the point that kind of suggested to my friends that we order Chinese that night because I suddenly had a craving. So yeah, that is something a little bit different. Obviously not massively what I normally read, but just so cute and adorable. Like, genuinely love this. Also, look how floppy this book is. I love American printed books. They're always so floppy. Okay, next one. Let's go with something a bit more classic again. Now, I'm really annoyed because I cannot find my own copy. My copy. I've hunted high and low. If you guys could see the floor right now, there are books strewn all over it, which is ridiculous because all my books are in alphabetical order by author. So it should be so easy to find my copy, but I can't find it anywhere. All I can think is I've lent it out and I've never gotten it back, which is really annoying because I really want to reread it pretty soon. But that is Redwall by Brian Jacques. So I'm going to hold up my copy of Martin the Warrior to represent Redwall. Redwall has some epic food descriptions and some brilliant feasts. Redwall is an epic fantasy with woodland creatures at its heart and as the main characters, and it's just beautiful. There's such, like, I think I first read Redwall when I was like 12, and it's a book that stays with you, and you can reread this, and the series you could just reread them and reread them. But yeah, they do have in their abbey, they do have some really awesome food scenes. I've got a cookbook that is the Geeky Chef cookbook, I think it's called, and it actually has a Redwall recipe in it for Deeper Never tater and turnip pie. I have made Deeper Never pie. I apologise if you heard that. That was my cat. Yes, but I have made that pie and it tastes amazing. So again, Redwall, brilliant. Okay, I've only got 2 left. So the next one, second to last one, is A Court of Thorn and Roses. Just this entire series. Now again, there's no descriptions of any particular food items in this, but all of the planning happens around the dinner table, the dining table. It's amazing. Like, Sarah J Maas, like, she's not going to win awards for her writing, but I freaking love her right now. I freaking love this series. And I think good part of that is because I have to give credit to a woman who insists that big decisions do not get made on an empty stomach. Now, they do a lot of plotting in this book, so you can imagine they sit at the dinner table a lot. And I just, the amount of dinner scenes they had me going, what have I got in the kitchen? I could use something to nibble. So I don't know. It could just be me. It could just be that if you just tell me a character's hungry, I'm going to start feeling hungry. This is probably what you're learning in this video, is that Amy is just generally hungry all of the time. But yeah, I would, if you like me and you're subjectable. That's not the right word. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. But if, like me, you are easily influenced and you are easily hungry, be aware that ACOTAR will potentially make you hungry, because I swear at least every other chapter they're sitting down to food. I mean, the series basically starts, like, the opening chapter is Farah hunting for food for her table. And it just goes on from there. Yeah. And then the last one, which, I mean, this book was written to make you hungry, okay? This, I only read this a couple of weeks ago when I was on holiday. It is a very new book. It was only released last month, I believe. And I know it's been making the rounds quite a bit on BookTube. And it's getting a lot of attention, and rightly so. And that is Legends and Lies by Travis Baldree. This is basically about an orc who decides to give up adventuring. She just wants to settle down and live a slightly less dangerous life. And so she opens a coffee shop. And it's adorable. Oh my gosh, like, guys, I could gush over this. I could gush so much over this. But yeah, there's the descriptions of the coffee. I drank so much coffee whilst reading this. I was joking with my friends, I want to call it bean water because one of the characters just keeps referring to it as bean water. Yeah, go make your bean water. And I'm like, oh, I think coffee, we should just call it bean water, right? I mean, tea is leaf water. Yeah? We got, yeah? And then on top of these amazing coffee descriptions, I mean, just like the smell of the aroma, and just like you craving it so badly within pages. But there is another character, I think you can just about see him there. He's called Thimble. He bakes. So first he bakes cinnamon rolls, and then he bakes, oh, what did they call it? Let me find a... Oh, come on. They call it a thimlet. So it's a crunchy nut and fruit delicacy, which is basically like biscotti. And just the way they describe it, he then goes on to make what are essentially like Danish pastries. And oh my gosh, guys, like the way they describe this and the way they describe the characters enjoying the food. I was quite heartbroken. I read this on a day where I wasn't feeling 100%, and I just wasn't feeling up to leaving the house, which is probably good for my waistline, because if I had felt up to leaving the house, I'd have been at the bakery, which is not even a 5-minute walk down the street, which is just so dangerous. But yeah, be aware, this one is going to have you craving both coffee and baked goods. And that is all. That I can promise you. I made a friend read this, and she doesn't like coffee, so she was okay on that part, but she did end up craving pastries. So this one I know will make you hungry, because I've tested it out. But anyway, those are my recommendations for books that make you hungry, or there are certainly books that made me hungry. So yeah, let me know. Do you guys have any books? Is there anything that you expected to see on this pile? Is there anything I've missed? Any books that made you hungry that you would recommend to me? Because I love books with good food descriptions. I enjoy baking and I enjoy eating. So I love eating. I am such a food person. So I'm always up for books that uh, make me hungry and have great descriptions. And yeah, I'll end it there and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.